The curtain goes up for BBC One's Saturday Night at the Movies in 25 minutes when Dean Martin and Alain Delon star in Texas Across the River. First, more trouble for Doctor Who.
Talk about that, but before we do that, let's have one final look at the really expensively produced opening titles. Yes, we were just having a chat about the title sequence of the show of Doctor Who. What were we saying now?
I was just thinking the theme tune and the visuals, they do harken back to the early Doctor Who title sequences more so than the past couple of title sequences have.
Yeah, and in the scene in the episode of the show we're going to talk about, there was a bit where the Doctor was like, Here's the box sets condensed into one.
Contact.
And it was the sort of Doctor Who theme blasting out. She's like, I've got my own theme. But anyway. Yeah, no, I really like the theme. I like the look of the show. I like the characters. I like the way it's being performed. The writing has improved.
I know some fans were kind of creating the version of the theme that was used for the Capaldi era, similar to how they felt with the Sylvester McCoy version of the theme tune.
I think the Capaldi version of the theme was very Dominic Glynn, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like, skinning a cat kind of aspect to it. I'll be honest, I didn't like the Dominic Glynn version when I first heard it, but now I love it. I did like the Kev McCulloch version, and in fact, there's going to be a special new set of titles created for the special episode that we're going to be doing about the box sets and for the summary of the series, and it is based on the Kev McCulloch theme because we're going to be talking about season 26 in particular, so I thought it would be helpful to do that.
Will we be winking at the camera for when our faces appear?
Well, if you can find silver makeup, we'll do the old. That's more Anne Robinson really there.
Or Bert Matthews.
Beautiful.
Be afraid, Doctor, because everything is about to change.
So this is the second of the two-part finale. And we're at the point where the Master has shown up and he is, asking the Doctor to come back. He's got something to show her. Well, boy, oh boy, what a revelation this is, because for the first 15 minutes of this show, it's like any other show, any other version of it.
It's basically done what you all think you know about this show for the last 57 years. It's out the window now.
And he is like, come with me as I show you the Matrix, and she doesn't really go voluntarily, but
it's nice to see the Matrix again.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say the line. I deny this reality.
The Master has been involved in the Matrix before, especially in Trial of the Time Lord.
The Assassin.
And yes, and so it's not nothing new, but
I do reference Deadly Assassin by the about President assassinations.
Yes, and also in more to do with the story here. When we get to that reveal.
Brace yourself. This is going to hurt. The child is you.
It's more a question of what happened to you. My heart sank and my stomach hurt when that happened. What about you?
With that big reveal?
Yeah.
It was a case of what? I didn't think it was as bad as I had feared. I had feared it was going to be a lot worse, because it was done in a way where it asked you more questions rather than answered.
I didn't know any of this. Did you know any of this?
I don't have those answers.
And then I was watching and thinking, does this undo the legacy of Rassilon and Omega as the founders of of Time Lord Society and giving Time Lords the power of time travel, because Omega was the reason Omega was trapped in an antimatter universe was because of his sacrifice, giving the power through a supernova.
And it's hard to know because there's a lot of information to unpack, a lot. But it would seem that that's still feasible, because essentially the timeless child that popped out of nowhere was the DNA was used to genetically splice with the Gallifreyan DNA to give them abilities. So it isn't beyond the bounds that story could still be a thing.
Yeah, because I don't think this is more about the history of regeneration. Because
Yeah.
I don't believe Omega and Rasa were involved if they created the Time Lord Society.
The rest, as they say, is history.
So yeah, that was a big reveal, and I was a bit annoyed, to be honest, when I first saw it. But to be honest with you, I can live with it.
As I said, I was dreading it more because I had heard that rumor where they were going to do a story where the Doctor had a whole set of regenerations prior to Hartnell who were all women, and not that I have anything against women, nothing against it at all. It's just that I was afraid that would undo the legacy of William Hartnell.
I have a feeling that they have kind of ruined William Hartnell's legacy anyway with this, because just in the sense of it wouldn't matter if it was William Hartnell or whoever it was that was the initiator of the show, because when you go back to the history of the show and the 50th anniversary or any time in the past where they've looked back, they've always seen his version as the first Doctor, and it's always been,
and whenever they have multi-Doctor stories, they've always, in the past, in the classic ones, they've always looked at the first Doctor as the one to look up to.
Yes, and I think what this does, it throws in confusion into the mix of an established history of the show. And in that way, it has become sort of pointless, because unnecessary, really, I suppose.
However, there is one thing from the classic era I could probably bring up that could support it, and he actually did show a clip from it in that montage of all the Doctors, is the brain of Morbius, where the Doctor and Morbius have that kind of mental fight, and you see all these faces, and production crew members had put on costumes, and these faces had appeared on this monitor after going backwards from Pertwee, Triton, and Hartnell, and it was meant to imply that these would have been the faces of the Doctor prior to Hartnell, because Brain of Morbius was done a year before they established the 12 regeneration limit, and then it became established that Hartnell was the first.
And we mentioned that before, and I actually I showed.
And then the three Doctors, Howard does kind of look up and saying, "Show me the earliest Doctor," so it is up in the air.
But I showed the images the last time we talked about this, and I'll just show them again because from the Morbius episodes.
Because it was Phil Hinchcliffe and Christopher Barry were amongst the faces.
I think also Robert Holmes was there. So.
Yeah, I know Graham Harper.
Yes, but what I was going to say, so I think basically I want to wait and see what they do with it. I think it's a lot of information to throw at everyone. So it will be really interesting to see how that story develops. I'm all for progressing and and updating things. I don't mind that. I just worry that William Hartnell's efforts, because he's such a great Doctor, and he was the one. If it wasn't for him, there wouldn't be a series. So
I think it's just this thing at the moment, TV shows doing this thing where they're taking an established history and they're retconning it. He started Discovery Skill doing it too, by retroactively putting Michael Burnham into Spock's history and legacy.
Yeah, I just hope that the problem I have with it, it's not so much that they did it. I mean, I guess they can do what they like with the show, but it's more, it just adds more confusion, because then who is Ruth, the Dr. Ruth, and who are they? Where does that come into it?
I mean, obviously,
I hope they explain this. If they explain it, I'm all for it.
Because I'm assuming the Ruth Doctor. I can't call her Dr. Ruth because I just think of
I call her Dr. Ruth because of that.
Dr. Ruth.
So, tell me your problems.
So, because the thing is, if she's meant to be pre-Hartnell, then why is her TARDIS a police box? Because in every child, the Doctor is surprised that his TARDIS has changed into has stuck as a police box.
Yes.
Because he goes out in the prehistoric and goes, a police box. Why is it still a police box? So if she's pre-Hartnell, she shouldn't even have a police box exterior for a TARDIS.
Yeah, there's just too many questions
and also,
raised from it.
And also, the first Doctor is the one who took the TARDIS in the first place. So what? I don't get it.
Yeah, there's a lot of explaining that needs to be done that hasn't been done, and it's been left up in the air just for the sake of having this mystery. I mean, I don't mind the fact that the Doctor is, there is more than just a Time Lord. I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah,
it's just the fact that Gallifrey was not where she was from is even, it's just very confusing.
Because wasn't that one of the things in the Cartwheel Master Plan where it was the Seventh Doctor one? I am more than just another Time Lord.
That's right. Which is fine, but it's just, I just worry about, where it's going to go. But look, let's see what happens with it. Let's see how they explain it. I will be honest and say I was annoyed when it happened, and I was kind of like, you can't do this, But then I sort of thought about it for a bit and realised, maybe they have an idea of where they're going with this. And I did enjoy the episode, actually. I enjoyed what went on in it. I liked there were a lot of moments with, say, the Graham and Yaz moment that stands out for me, where he has a really sort of heartfelt chat with her. I don't know if that's setting us up for leaving, because there is another episode at Christmas, a Daleks one, and that could be a companion leaving episode, so we really don't know who's going to stay and who's going to go by that stage. But whoever they are, they're contracted to do that one extra episode, and anything can happen in that. But I'm hopeful for the future of the show. I'm just a bit disappointed in that they seem to have lessened the impact of the show that has been so far.
Well, it's to me, it's about putting these new characters into the established history of a character who's been there for over 50 years. And Michael Burnham is an example of this in Discovery. And I think what is annoying me is this character who I don't think is very likeable, but everyone else I know seems to like the character because she's so flawed. And I think what annoys me about that is that everything that Spock did was because of her. And I feel like something similar is happening in Doctor Who, where you're studying these histories and it's cheapening the legacy of the Doctor in a way that Michael Burnham's existence kind of cheapens Spock. Everyone disagrees with me, but I think, but you're kind of diluting it, because all the achievements that Spock made are now a result of Michael Burnham, a character who's only existed for 2 years, whereas Spock's been around for 53 years.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, it has been retconned, and I know a lot of people are annoyed. I'm annoyed as well, but I mean, I can deal with it and I can move on and see what they do with the show, but I don't know, this is only my opinion, but I just didn't feel that the reveal was essentially saying that a whole other existence has happened before we get to William Hartnell. And there was an implication that there was some kind of secret division or something like that as well.
Even more secret than CIA.
Yeah, so it's so complicated that it has actually made things worse in terms of just jumping in to watch the show. The things that made the Doctor who the Doctor is were established for a reason, so that people who watch the show don't get overly complicated with the plot in terms of the backstory. Now, yes, you can tweak that, and you can chop and change things, that's true. So whether or not this change will play out in a way, that will resolve itself, we'll have to see. But I just didn't like the fact that there were so many regenerations before we even get to the Doctor. We don't know what, as I said there, we don't know what happens with Ruth, we don't know what. So if these things are explained, it just seems to me that the attitude of the people who are in charge of the show at the moment is that, whenever they said this is going to hurt, when the Master says that, he's saying that to the fans.
Why do I get the feeling that Chris Chibnall is becoming the British equivalent of Alex Kurtzman?
Well, we shall see. But back to the actual episode, and I think the Master here, he is, I I really enjoy his
Sacha Dhawan's a good
his
incarnation.
performance, but we get this lone Cyberman, Cyber Lord, Cyber Leader, whatever he's called. He's a great character as well, and we have this sort of scene where the guys are trying to disguise themselves as Cybermen, which is quite hilarious, and they manage to do it okay. But the lone Cyberman, the Master tries to appeal to his agenda, I suppose. And we find that he's got what is this particle? The destruction particle or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
He's got that within him. The Cyberman has. Now, what do you think of the design of those Cybermen?
The ones from the
the ones that they've sort of got.
Well, they're very reminiscent of the ones that I like the most, which is the ones from the Invasion, and then they were later modified into the Earthshock era, the 80s era or something, where they had the wee fry added to them. But so
Excellent.
But I feel it's nice upgrade in that version. I think that their solution for them getting into the suits is a very old school, classic era plan.
I like it. I like it actually.
It's a very classic era of Doctor Who.
And also, didn't Bernard Cribbins do that in the Doctor Who film that he was in? Did he describe himself as a Robo-Man? You know,
Yes, and don't forget, in the very first Dalek story, Ian Jefferson does go into Dalek.
That's right. And then we also get the Doctor inside a Dalek
In the Space Museum.
and he tries to say exterminate. But the first Doctor is so charming that I do think that this story, here we go, Tectoane or whatever she's called.
And I think another thing is, I mean, this is debatable as well. You know, it's been changed as well. But remember, in the first couple of stories, the Doctor is a bit more of a bastard, because in the first story, Ian stops him from killing a caveman who's delaying him to get the TARDIS. Also, in the Daleks, the first story of the Daleks, the Doctor wants to see the city, but the companions don't. But he purposely takes out the mercury fluid from the TARDIS so he can get his way and see the city. So he's a bit more manipulative in those other ones. And it's in the third story, and he comes to respect the companions, that the companions have kind of changed him. So that there is another reason why I think this goes against that legacy, because, you know, Hartnell is kind of like setting the trend. I don't think this contradicts Rassilon and Omega, because I think Rassilon and Omega, it didn't establish them as creating anything regarding the regeneration technology. It was more about harnessing the technology of time and space travel and all, and the actual society of time.
I mean, it is an interesting story. It's just, I don't know. I don't like it. Let's put it that way. But I can get over it. You know, the show is what it is, and I'll watch it and see where the story goes.
Why does she look like a female version of Cousin Eddie in that shot?
Of who?
Cousin Eddie from National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Oh yeah. But no, it's an interesting story. Don't get me wrong, and I like exploring things. So we'll see what happens with it. But what I really did enjoy as well was we get Ryan, who's been practicing with basketball, you know, at the beginning of the series, and then he gets this bomb, and he throws it and explodes, and all the Cybermen die, and he thinks he's killed them all.
Here's another thing about that there. Have they forgotten something about Ryan? What happened to Ryan's dyspraxia?
Well, this is it. I think that was a kind of a salute to the fact that he's getting over it. Yeah, so this is the scene here where we're doing a flashback to the story where the adopted mother of the Timeless Child is doing experiments on the Timeless Child, and the Master's showing the Doctor this inside the Matrix. And we get this scene where the camera's tracking, and each time it's tracking, you know, there's a couple of women there, a couple of guys, and you know, so there's at least 4 or 5 that we see there. Yeah. Regenerations.
And it looks like they tried every ethnicity there as well to be diverse.
Yeah, well, that sort of thing's irrelevant. It's more. There's like several regenerations before we get to the Doctor, so that's an entire show in itself. So I just think, to me, it's too crazy. It's too much of a change. But you know,
it's way too much, because it's kind of implying that Doctor is what, thousands of years old before he. I mean, how long is this meant to be This is obviously meant to be before Rassilon and Omega.
So the Doctor can just regenerate. And I just wonder what happened when he became the Doctor, as in William Hartnell. What happened with the regenerations? Because he just faded in, and then the other time the Time Lords were like, no, we're going to make you regenerate, when he was Patrick Troughton. And
he was forced to regenerate into John Pertwee.
Yeah, and John Pertwee then he died, more or less died, and he faded into Tom Baker. So
and then Tom Baker fell off a giant radio telescope and turned into Peter Davison.
Yeah. So it's just it is very inconsistent, but I guess they did mention in it about the creation of the Time Lords, and because there was this distinction between Gallifreyans and Time Lords, wasn't there, that they brought into it?
I think when I was watching it, though, as I said, I was trying to reconcile it with the history established about Rassilon and Omega, because Rassilon is responsible for creating the Time Lord Society.
Yes.
Omega is responsible for creating the.
And the Doctor's always been a blight on their society anyway, so it makes sense, that she would be a problem for them, and why she never sat well with the Time Lords.
Or I think ours, and now I'm saying in the Wikipedia's now, because one of the things that's very difficult now in talking about the Doctor is pronouns. You're so used to saying he has been a format now, because now the Doctor, you can't say she, because they, so you have to use the plural now.
Well, you can call them whatever you want, but in this particular case, I'm just referring to the Doctor as a whole, who at the moment is a woman. But if I'm talking about previous Doctors, I'll refer to them as man.
Yeah.
That's the only reason that's how I can get my head around it. But basically, we get this reveal: you're the Timeless Child, which at this stage, is pretty obvious, isn't it?
Oh yeah,
that she's the Timeless Child.
You knew it was going to be the Doctor.
Because some people thought it might be the Master. Some people thought the Master might be the Timeless Child. But, and that's why he's so irritated. But he's actually irritated because the Doctor is, if you'll pardon the expression, in him. And he can't stand that. And then we get this scene where, it's very a black background, and I keep thinking of the third Doctor when he used to do the martial arts with the black background.
Oh yeah, you talk about when he fights Omega.
And it was very much like that. I don't know if that's deliberate.
The dark side of my mind.
So we get this scene, where everyone thinks it's over. They think it's all over.
It is not. It ain't not.
We get some funny moments because Graham, when Yaz takes the helmet off, and then it reveals it's her, Graham is like, I can't get this hat off. I thought that was pretty cool. The Master basically tries to reason with the lone Cyberman, but typical style, he turns on him and he uses his
tissue compression eliminator, which I'm actually glad to see back.
And for some reason the Master thinks that's it, but it isn't it. They're all still alive, and he has to deal with it.
Because the death particle's still
inside the little toy. In fact, they probably did that so they could release a mini Lone Cyberman toy.
I've actually noticed, is it just me, or are they compressed even smaller than they were in Classic Who?
They're very much smaller.
There were big Action Men dolls
Yeah, they were probably about that size, and now they're about that size, so very much so.
It's good to have it back, because one of the things, ever since he had the latest scooter, I always missed having the TCE. It was always more deli, and the Alpha 80s one looked like a big giant.
There was another tool that the Doctor used that was very phallic in shape. It had two knobs here and a big bit that came out like that. I forget which story it was in, but it was like some kind of measuring tool, but it just looked like a big knob. I'll find that picture and I'll put it up on the podcast because it's the name of the episode escapes me at the minute.
And that's not the topic creature from Pip where the Errata monster actually looked like a big giant.
Oh yes.
And there is a bit where the doctor's trying to come in and he seems blown into it. And turning the pictures just like.
Oh dear. But yeah, so we get the master, and he's kind of like, oh, I thought this was over. Now what, you know? The Siberium goes inside the master. It looks like it hurts. The doctor didn't mind, but the master seemed to go mental with it. When it went inside the doctor, she wasn't that bothered. But he seems to go a bit mental.
Perhaps it's the drums. That's what my friend Luke says. You see, when the master has a bit of a bunker's idea, the drums must have been a bit loud that day. They must have been a bit loud that day during the events of Time Flight, when he put himself in disguise as Khalif for no apparent reason other than to have a cliffhanger.
So the doctor is talking to a version of the master, like a version of his consciousness. And she gets quite annoyed with him. But there's more to the story. You know, she's like, tell me the whole story. And this is when we find that some of the information has been redacted. But it's some kind of like secret division or society, or I don't know. But
well, we do know of the Celestial Intervention Agency with the CIA, and there's out there, but about them in the season 6B arc. But I have a feeling it's probably more secret than them.
yeah,
Could this be Gallifrey's own Section 31?
maybe so. But we will hopefully find out about these things later on. But it's such a big change to the canon that it'll take a bit of getting used to.
Yep, and I'm sure I'll be attacked for having an opinion that doesn't match any other people, which seems to be the way of fandom these days.
Well, you're entitled to your opinion, you know, and I think everyone's entitled to their opinion. I may agree or disagree with people, but you're certainly entitled to say what you think.
Not say what you see.
Not say what you see. It's good, but it's not right. But yeah, so the doctor goes for the master, like really pushes him over. You know, this is aggressive Jodie we're getting here. Her world is colliding and crashing, crumbling.
I'm actually glad she's getting more chops juice this year, in the role, because I feel like it's kind of pushing her more into the doctor more so this year.
Yeah. So we get some flashbacks to Brendan, our Brendan. We thought was a holodeck scenario, or else an episode of Murder She Wrote. We don't know.
Oh, don't even go there. You told me the episodes of Murder She Wrote I want to forget.
To be sure.
Yeah, the Irish ones.
Per Brendan. Brendan was the doctor then, so the doctor is slightly Irish then.
Which is a joke that they always had in the classic series. Gallifrey, in Ireland. Must be.
But they've never had an Irish doctor.
Well,
Look no further.
come on, they've had 3 Scottish doctors,
Yeah,
and only 2 of them actually used their Scottish accent.
yeah, that's true.
We've had 2 Northern doctors.
Yeah.
Actually 3. I think Colin Baker's Northern. He just uses the RP voice.
Yes, I think you're right. And Tom Baker was from Liverpool. He's a Scouser.
Yeah, as was Paul McGann.
And Sarah Jane, of course. They're all Scousers. Although very, very, very posh Scousers. Then we get the Master's mad idea, which is also genius, and there's credit for this, about the using the Time Lord bodies for Cybermen because they'll be able to regenerate when they die. Not only that, but in a very Eric Roberts way, they dress for the occasion because they've got the Time Lord collars,
and they've got the symbol, the Gallifreyan symbols.
Yeah.
On their armour.
Yeah, I mean they look amazing, but you know.
You say the Master had a bonkers idea. When does the Master not have a bonkers idea?
True. But this is an awesome Cyberman story if you think about it. I mean, I know there's a lot going on, but the Cybermen have never looked as fabulous. Fabulous, darling.
Yeah, they certainly have dressed for the occasion.
But I really did love that. I mean, I thought that was a great idea. And sort of you think to yourself, well, it's never happened before. He's never had the opportunity to do it before. But But then in the Five Doctors, whenever the Cybermen are trying to shoot at the Master, he's obviously not very good. He tries to like form an alliance then as well, doesn't he?
Oh yeah. The thing is, due to the direction of that story, it was done the way that the Cybermen were here, the Master's here, and it goes, "We will turn on him," you know. It's like, and the Master's probably there goes, "Sorry, are you talking about it?"
That should be 1981. Oh, we should do a sort of a cosplay kind of thing as the Master and just walk around going.
Which Master would you like to be?
Well, all the Masters have a laugh. Even Delgado had a laugh, but it wasn't quite as pronounced as Ainley's one. I think the scenes of the gang on Gallifrey are really, really cool. You know, the way that it's shot just looks really amazing. You sort of feel that they're there. You know, it doesn't look like a quarry, is what I mean.
Because, I mean, I've always liked the Yellow Tome because that harkens back to the Invasion of Time, you know, when Leela was cast out of.
Is that her last story?
Yeah. Where we saw the ones outside the capital, and it was kind of like had like a orange desert, you know, so.
Yeah.
But that's not good about a quarry.
I know. And funny enough, Game of Thrones was filmed in a quarry as well, so it's not the only show, and it does it. But the Ruth Doctor, or Dr. Ruth, is telling the Doctor basically to wise up, as we would say, where we come from, wind your neck in, basically. It's like, when have you ever worried about who you were before? You know, pull your socks up, let's go. We've got the world to save. And then we get the best bit of the episode, in a way, is a literal blast from the past. I don't know if anyone watched this show called Bad Influence with Andy Crane and Violet Berlin, and it used to be on Children's TV. And at the end of it was about computer games, and at the end they had a data blast where you were meant to record the show, and it was like blasting all this information split second, and when you're meant to play the tape back and pause it, and then read the information.
Hello, we're back. Yep, welcome to Bad Influence, returning with all your old favourites.
It is important to mention, you know, that obviously the Doctor and the companions, you know, they, at this point, they think it's the end of the world. You know, they think this is it, everything's, you know, and it's interesting, you know, when that happens on the show, you think to yourself, oh, is someone going to die? Like, I don't know, did you think someone was going to die in this episode?
Well, none of the regulars.
You didn't think any of the companions were going to die? I thought, because Ryan is leaving, you see, so I figured that he would be, I thought he was going to die, to be honest. I actually thought Ryan was going to die, but he survived. But having said that, there is an episode coming up, a Christmas one, and the Christmas one is the one that we need to worry about, because they can all die in that one, because they haven't said whether anyone signed on for another series.
Apart from the Doctor.
And we know that Ryan isn't signing on for sure, but how he leaves the show we don't know. But there's a Christmas episode coming up, and they said on it that it was, what was it called? Something to do with the Daleks.
Revolution
of the Daleks. Revolution of the Daleks, not Revelation, which is a couple of letters different. But so with that sort of in the works, have they filmed it? Do we know?
Not yet.
I thought they had filmed it, but I could be wrong.
New Doctor Who magazine out this week, so it may have some information on it.
Yes, we'll keep you posted on that. The other thing as well is that you know, now that the series is finished, how will they handle this information going forward? You know, how will it affect things going forward? Do you think they'll just forget about it now and move on? Or do you think they'll follow up with some of those things?
Will they have to follow up?
Well, in what way, though?
I don't know. Well, it did end on a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Which has to be resolved anyway.
Well, yes, that has to be resolved. But what I mean is, like, there's so much more information in there. The secret division, you know, will they do anything more? Will there be like a spin-off show? Pre-Doctor Who, is it going to be called?
We'll have to address something because they can't just let this happen.
No. And, you know, it's interesting though. I did go on and have a look at some of the fans have said about this online, and some people have said, as you would expect, I'm going to walk away from the show. I've had enough of this. They basically have narrowed down, you know, the kind of show it is so much that fans of Classic Who won't be able to continue watching it. What are your feelings on it, Neill?
Does it make me want to walk away from the show?
Yeah.
No, it doesn't make me want to walk away from the show. Am I happy with the direction? I am confused with the direction. I'm intrigued, but at the same time, I think we're going in a direction that doesn't need to. I think Doctor Who is becoming a wee bit of a victim of woke culture. I do think it's trying too hard to be. I think there's an agenda to Doctor Who, yeah, these days. But the thing is, you see people criticising, you know, things like climate change issue. I have no problem with the issues. Some of the classic Doctor Who stories, as I said before, the Green Death were great examples of being political. I mean, the Third Doctor also had one which dealt with apartheid, you know, the mutants, but he did it in a setting that didn't comment on the current day. He had a story which was addressing the issues, but it was cloaked in a story that was, you know, something else. It didn't hammer it over your head, but it made you aware of the issue. Green Death did not stop halfway through to explain what's wrong with the environment.
Yeah, and although Orphan 55, you know, more or less at the end of the show, we had a little lesson, didn't we?
Yeah, I feel like that's different. It's not the message; it's how it's been handled that's annoying me.
Yeah. So we're going to have a look and see exactly how much information we can glean from looking at the when the Doctor's data blast of the show's history when she tries to break free from the Matrix.
Coffee before we do it.
We've got ourselves some refreshments here, and you can too if you come down to the 401 Cafe and Bar down by the Alexandra Dock.
We should probably do that again, more seriously.
It was such an obvious plug, but I'm serious though. Come down here and sample the food and stuff. It's really, really nice.
Yeah.
You just had a scone, didn't you?
Yeah, very hot. No, actually, it was hot.
But what was in your scone?
Raspberry and white chocolate.
Do you have to say it like
Raspberry and white
chocolate? Yes.
And I said,
You were like raspberry and white chocolate.
I was trying to roll my R like Sylvester McCoy.
Right this minute. Raspberry.
All right. I can do it.
He doesn't roll his tongues. He doesn't roll his R's even on the box set.
Yeah.
Press enter now.
Press.
He doesn't say it.
No, he doesn't. He just goes press enter.
That's it. He was obviously bored that day. But anyway, so let us look. We're going to do this frame by frame. So can you see that okay?
Yeah. Just like Graham. Frame by frame.
Frame by frame. Right.
Just the same as before. Just the same frame by frame.
Ready? Boom. Here we go. She actually does look like she's having a shit on William Hartnell's legacy in this.
Looks like her husband fall off her.
Yep. So here we go. We're just doing this frame by frame. So bear with us. We've got the Master from Spyfall, or is that O? Or is it
He's Master of
the one and the same?
Oh my.
Oh dear. Then we've got Lone Cyberman. We've got the Subrimium or
Siberium.
Siberium.
Okay.
I feel like Graham, a Slimerian blaster.
That's a very shy one.
Then they're from Mary Shelley when they are at the door.
Yeah.
Then we've got Storm from X-Men, or I don't know what she was called.
Yeah, but she was that one who was in prison in that star.
The guy was called Zelen, but did she have a name?
Actually, did. I can't remember.
I'll look the name up and then I'll put it over the top of us talking about it. And she's very storm in that shot there. Then we have the Gallifreyan from the...
She's just off the Judun.
We can't talk. I promise you, it's only tea and coffee. Fugitive of the Judun. Remember, she murdered Dr. Ruth's husband. If he was her husband, I think he was. But anyway. Then we get Ruth. Then we get Captain Jack. Then we get the Doctor running from the birds. It looks like she's running from the birds.
Yeah.
Then we get Tesla. Then we get the Rani from Sarah Jane as a Scorpion Queen. Then we get the Dregs.
Dregs from Orphan 55.
Yeah. Now what's that? Gallifrey, is it?
It's Gallifrey.
Yes, that's when the TARDIS turns up. Dalek. Aleppo or something, maybe? No, is that a Dalek?
It's Dalek.
That's a Dalek, sorry. Shadow of a Dalek. That should be a story. Shadow of a Dalek. She got her Sonic out. Not sure where that is. That Dalek as well?
I think so, it could be.
Yeah.
Or it could be the finale from last year.
And then, is that the guy? Who's that? Can't tell who this is.
Yeah, can't tell. I think it could be Grace. It's not.
Don't know who it is. But we'll I just can't tell who that is. And then this is a shot probably from the very first series with Jodie.
I think it's from
Spiders one?
No, the Norwegian one.
Oh, yes.
It takes you away.
Takes you away, yes. Then we get one of the old women in the Alien Sludge episode with Alan Cumming. What was that one called? Witchfinder, that one, yeah.
Witchfinder.
Don't know who that is.
The Doctor.
Is that the Doctor?
I guess when she was 7 speed drown as a ridge.
Oh, yes, that's right. Yes.
That's from the Punjabi
Yeah.
episode of the Indian partition one.
Yes.
Kablam.
The Kerblam Man. Slitheen, is that?
No, that's that wee baby creature from that medical ship early on.
Oh, yes, the little gremlin-y type. Yeah.
I almost forgot about that guy.
Yeah. Don't know where that one's from. Who's that in the background?
I think that's that guy from.
Is that the trumpet type guy?
Yeah.
That is from the Spiders one. It's the Doctor, but we don't know what that is.
It's Rosa Parks. It's Rosa Parks.
Oh, very good. There's like I'm getting like a terrible reflection there. So if I pull that up, yeah, I can see that bit.
Must have been on the bus when they had to let it happen.
Yes.
That's for finding the TARDIS and the Ghost Monument.
Yes, Ghost Monument when the TARDIS was gone. And, of course, Ghost Monument means TARDIS, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Is that the Timeless Child? You know, the Rags?
I think so, yeah.
Also, the actor whose name has escaped me, Ian something or other, who played Zelen, was the voice of the Rags in this episode. I didn't know that. I only found out when I was looking up how to spell his name. And he was also in Torchwood as well. So he's been in sort of Doctor Who universe before. That's the teeth.
It was Tim Shaw.
Tim Shaw. We've got him in there. There's an amazing amount of information in this
You don't
data
realise
blast.
for what appears on 20 seconds is.
And then this is when the Doctor gets her costume. And then that's a shot back to her. But then we've got Davros on the left, and then we've got someone here, which is very difficult to tell who that is.
Is it Rose?
Could be Rose. It's a very poor likeness if it is her. But well, let's say it's Rose for the moment. Then we got Sarah Jane. Or is it Sarah Jane or is it Donna?
Oh, it could be Donna actually. That could be Donna.
Donna.
Yeah. It's Donna.
And what's this?
Ooh. Look, it was like a feline creature.
Yeah, we're not sure.
Could be from. I think it's from a Capaldi show. I can't remember.
Is it from Capaldi? It's not. It's not one of the ones from Survival.
No, it's not that.
Because it looks too.
I think it's one of the ones from The Girl Who Knows.
Right. Okay.
Celine.
So, Celine and.
That's Rose.
No, that's Amy. Amy Pond.
Amy.
Yeah. We'll get it right yet. Then we've got River Song. And who was that one there?
Don't know. Can't make it out.
Not sure. It's one of the little tiny characters, you know, the short guys. I forget what they're called. Then we've got Wilf. Don't know what that is there. And then Clara. Is that Clara?
Clara looks like a Cyberman.
I think we've got a Cyberman and Clara. I think that
It's Clara.
is it Clara? Yeah, it's a very bad photo. Bill. That's still a Cyberman, is it?
No, it's even out looking face.
We don't know what that is on the other
It's
side.
very hard to make out what it is.
Very hard to make out. That's Martha.
Martha, and it's an Ood.
Ood. No, who's that? That's the spider arachnid.
Yeah, I think so.
That kind of looks like John Barrowman again, but they wouldn't put him in there twice, would they? And then who's this?
That's Sarah Jane.
We've got Sarah. There's a couple there we didn't know who they were. Sarah Jane and one of the cat nurses.
From New York.
Yeah. Then we got Capaldi with the short hair,
From his first year.
and then Capaldi with his long hair. What is that? He's got some kind of rifle.
It's a
blaster.
Dalek weapon.
Oh, it's the Dalek. Yes, right. That's what it is. And there he is again. Can't tell what story that's
I
from.
think it's from Hellbent, you know, when he arrives in Gallifrey.
Right. Matt Smith. Another Matt Smith.
There's about 3 images of each Doctor.
And Matt Smith at the TARDIS doors. And then we've got David Tennant and that meme of him crying. And there he is, angry, covered in soot.
So I guess
There he is again. And then we get Eccleston,
his first story there.
yes, with the Ferris wheel in the background. What?
Ah.
More Eccleston. And again.
Doctor.
Then the War Doctor. Then more War Doctor.
Seem to be getting 3 images of each.
And another War Doctor. Then we've got McGann from the Night of the Doctor, that one was, yeah. And again, another McGann. And there. Now we've got one from the movie, the TV movie. Now we're back to Sylvester McCoy from The Greatest Show in the Galaxy.
Oh, it's a picture from Peggy Mount.
Yes.
That's a stall lady.
Yes. And again, not quite sure where that one's from, but it's the same era. And then the last picture of McCoy, we believe, is from Survival, the planet of the cheetah people. Isn't it where that was? Now we've got the Sixth Doctor, Colin Baker. Can't tell where that's from, can you?
It's from his first season. His hair is shorter, so it's from his first season. That's from the trial.
Second one is from the trial. He's very, very blonde and bouffant.
I think that's from Vengeance and Varus, that one.
And the last one then, yes, all very colourful. And we've got Peter Davison. Can't tell, it's very dark in that one, isn't it?
Yeah. Some of his earlier stories anyway, you can tell by the jumper.
Yeah. It's got a more T. Vicar.
You don't really realise how many pictures are actually in this sort of thing.
There are a lot of images in this, to unpack.
Yeah, I always thought there was just one image. I didn't realise there were like 3 of each drop from the image.
Me either. That's another one of him. Looks like he's on the TARDIS there.
So he is in the TARDIS there.
And that's, what's that from? I recognise that face. Is that his last story?
I think that's from Is This Death?
Yeah. Some of his death scene there.
Yeah. So Phil Pinchcliffe is. That's from Grey Morbius.
So this is perhaps the inspiration. Perhaps the inspiration for this whole reboot.
We get the 4th Doctor there.
Yeah. There's another one with his hat on this time.
Some Pertles Mars.
And now we're on to the 3rd Doctor.
Don't be going to get 2.
What's that?
Don't be going to get 2.
And there he is with his Sonic.
Joe. We got
And
some
Joe.
Sea Devils. So ones the other ones. As you can see, Bertram's hair is very bouffant there.
Indeed. And now it's back to Patrick Troughton.
It's been colorized, as you can see.
Yeah.
We got
Who's
some-
that in the background?
I think it's from the Moonbase. That's the director of the Moonbase.
Right.
Whose name I can't remember at the moment, but that's
There
from
he is
the War
again.
Games.
There he is again.
That's from Tomb of Sermon. Nicely colorized, it's just subtle, but
Now we're back to the 1st Doctor.
I think it's the War Machines.
There he is again.
That's the very first Doctor Who story.
Yes, I see what you mean about being colorized.
Yeah.
And the last one.
Sea
And
Devils.
then, so Sea Devils on the left. And we don't know what that is on the right. I think it's the John Sim
I think it could be the Master, yeah.
Master. What's that on the left?
That's a Saigon.
Saigon.
What it was in Terror of the Saigons. So it's Missy.
Missy and
Syl.
Syl. We can't believe that Syl is in this. Can't believe it. And then,
Shara's Jack.
yes, and still Missy on that side.
That's Shara's Jack, one of the great films in Doctor Who history.
It's not at all a gimp mask. So we're getting
Smilers from The Beast Below and an Auton from Terror of the Autons when
Yeah.
they're doing the daffodils.
yeah.
Instead, it's the Master's first story. One of the robots. That's one of the robots from Robots of Death.
Are you sure that's definitely not? It really looks like Derek Jacobi's eyebrows.
Well, that's Derek Jacobi's Master, I think, there now.
Yeah.
But that's one of the robots from.
Right. So we definitely have Derek Jacobi's master there.
It is Derek Jacobi. And then Eric Roberts.
Eric Roberts. And then what have we got on this side?
Sutek.
Sutek, yeah.
Of course, that would be Derek Jacobi because, of course, Derek Jacobi comes after John Sim. So it's all the incarnations of the Master. Of course, it is Derek Jacobi when we're thinking. So there's Anthony Ainley
Anthony Ainley.
and Ogron. And you get the Peter Pratt Master,
Yes.
the ancient one.
The ancient one from
Chris
Chris
Fenrick.
Fenrick, yeah.
Oh, Skarloff, Last of the Jakharov. There's Delgado.
And Delgado.
Yeah, City of Death. Count Scaglione. Skarloff,
Yes.
the Last of the Jakharov.
Timeless Child. And all the Timeless Childs.
Children.
Hi, I'm the Doctor. And then we're back to Morbius.
Doctors. It's Phil Pinchcliffe again.
And then it's changed to,
Another one of the Morbius Doctors.
yeah, I can't tell who that one is, but we'll get the pictures up again and have a look at them.
The other one's Green Harper, one's Christopher Barry.
Oh, they're going through them all. Oh, look, can we get a proper look at them?
That's what that was. guess Robert Holmes.
Yeah, that's Robert Holmes.
That's Graham Harper. That's Christopher Barry.
What's that from? Oh, that's Brendan.
Yeah.
We were like, who is Brendan? And then Brendan is who?
Yeah. They actually answered their own question.
Yeah. Ruth?
Just the way time my images were in that one brief moment.
That's it. So that was an interesting little look to see, you know, what all was included in that data blast of
All the
Doctor Who history.
All the masters, all the doctors,
Yeah.
some of the foes. I'm actually glad to see Syl in there.
Syl, I was surprised to see Syl. And Neill, I'm sure that's very pleasant for the viewers to see you doing. But what we would urge you to get, there's a Blu-ray of a series of stories, or it's a story, a number of episodes, old school, very old, classic Who style, of Syl. Check it out on Amazon because it's very good. But well, I think we will have a proper look at the entire series 12, and we'll also have a look at the season 26 box set and others that we have, and that will be a separate episode. But I think for the moment, all that's left for us to say is thank you very much for tuning in. Apologies for the lateness of our episodes, but we can't do anything about that. This is a part-time hobby for us, it's not full-time, but I've enjoyed making these, I've enjoyed having the chats. What about you?
Yeah, I've enjoyed them.
And do get in touch with us because we do respond when we can. But for the moment, that is it. We'll see you again soon.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
But that's it for this week. Bye.
Just before we go, though, I'd like to point out that I did write all the credits for this week's programme on my pen pad. See ya.
I love a hot scone. That's what she said.
So keep your hands down here because we don't want to see you blowing your nose. I'm sure the viewers will love that.
It's real. Hold on a second.
No coronavirus here.